Hey, you're muted, Chad.
Sorry about that. Let me try that again. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to allow us to present our hiking web application journey. Our team really had a lot of fun designing, building, and creating this application, and we really hope you enjoy our presentation as much as we enjoyed creating the application. And so, what is Journey? Journey is a web app for hiking enthusiasts who want to remember their amazing trips, or just for anybody who wants to seek out a new adventure. Maybe we can create some new hikers. And before we get into our project, I created a little video as a way of saying thank you to my group because they were super supportive of my creative process, and just for making the entire process extremely enjoyable. We had a lot of fun. It was like a big party. Please enjoy. And one real quick note: this is my very first attempt at GarageBand and doing voiceover work on a video. So I spent one day on GarageBand, and that was not enough to learn how to edit the audio. So I had to do this all in one take. So basically, I'm sorry to put you all through this.
The whimsical quest of the Trailblazing Web Wanderers. Once upon a time, in the enchanting realm of Naturia, 5 intrepid explorers embarked upon a whimsical quest to develop an extraordinary web application for hikers and nature enthusiasts. Their vision? To create a magnificent hiking journal for recording one's adventures while also providing a robust section powered by the National Parks API. United in their purpose, they formed a fellowship known as the Trailblazing Web Wanderers, dedicated to bridging the wonders of nature and the digital world. The cast: Christopher, the Gandalf of Git. The esteemed Gandalf of Git wielded the ancient knowledge of version control. As the sentinel of the bridge of Git, he bestowed his irreplaceable wisdom upon the team, shielding them from the treacherous abyss of merge conflict mayhem. With his unwavering guidance, the path to a seamless and harmonious code base was illuminated. Celine, the QA cleric of SoCal. The pilgrimage was graced by the divine watch of Celine, the QA cleric of SoCal. With her keen foresight and intuition, she prevented the team from falling into code snares and traps. Like a guardian angel, she maintained the fellowship's health and sanity as they ventured deeper into the wilds of web development. Tim, the shadowy cartographer. In the depths of the digital forest, our shadowy cartographer navigated the teams through the intricate labyrinth of CSS and design. Like an artistic phantom, he etched out stunning solutions to baffling problems, always ready to strike down monstrous code bugs that dared to challenge the fellowship. Chad, the tireless trail bard. The fellowship's journey was invigorated and occasionally exasperated by the boundless zeal of the tireless trail bard. A modern-day minstrel and rabbit's foot, he enlivened the team with his constant chatter, infectious enthusiasm, and occasional impromptu rap battle with squirrels. Though his ceaseless banter was not always welcomed, his melodies and tales cast a protective spell that ensured the group was always alert and prepared to confront any obstacles in their way. Together, these 5 intrepid explorers combined their unique skills and talents to create a web application that celebrated the great outdoors. Through their collaborative cooperation, unwavering dedication to their quest, they triumphed against all odds, forging a digital guide that will inspire generations of hikers and park visitors to chronicle their adventures and explore the vast wonders of the national parks. And thus concludes the epic tale of the Trailblazing Web Wanderers and their whimsical quest to the realm of Naturia. May their stories ignite a spark within the hearts of future web developers, encourage them to embark on their own quest, armed with courage, creativity, and the patience to withstand the relentless chatter of a tireless trail bard.
All right, that's over. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So this is our cast here, and unfortunately Christopher is out of town. He's the best man at a wedding right now in Cincinnati, Ohio. So he is literally in the wedding as we speak, talking to me on my phone. My name is Chad Thompson Smith. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, and I currently reside in Erie, Pennsylvania, right on the lake. And I'm gonna pass it on over to Tim.
Hey everybody, Tim here. So I'm an Air Force veteran. I was a civil engineer working with electrical power production. My main job was the user interface, kind of the visuals, the graphics, the design of the page, as well as styling. And I will pass it off to Celine to allow her to introduce herself.
Hi, I am Celine. I am a U.S. Army National Guard veteran, and currently I am based in South California.
All right. So that is our cast, the Journeyman. All right. And Chris wasn't able to be here, like I said, so he did our demo just exclusively by himself so we could give him, just some content so he could be a part of our project. So this is Chris doing an excellent presentation.
My name is Christopher Williams, the Gandalf of Git. More like Gandalf the Gray, not Gandalf the White yet, but getting there. This is our app, Journey. It's a hiking journal / exploration for national parks app. We made it so that way you could document your adventures and also like discover more about our federal wildlife reserves or just nature parks in general, and really take advantage of those. So if I'm just an avid hiker and I come here, this is the landing page I'll first see whenever I get here. And then I can click sign up. I can enter a username, a mailing address, and a password. Click sign up. We got an error. Well, I know that as a user, I may have created an account here, so I'm just going to go try and log in. And voila, here we are on the user's homepage, where you can see the many different pictures, or one of many different pictures we have. While here, you can click the map icon, and if the picture has actual location metadata, like latitude, longitude, it'll show where it was taken at. And this was taken in the Wichita Wildlife Refuge at Mesa Park, which is accurate. It's also a picture of me actually out on a hike doing this. And if I wanted to edit it, I can click the pencil icon on the upper right, hit save changes. I'll be updated on whether it was successful or not. There we go. We can see my edits went through. And then I could also delete it if I want to. There we go. Now, if I wanted to create one, I can go here. I can enter a title, select an image, open it up, give it a description, give it a difficulty. The difficulty is not going to present itself on the actual post right now. This is for a future feature that we were going to implement whenever we make this more of a social media type app. But for now, it's still there for selection. So you'll hit save your journey. Scroll down to the bottom. There it is. Now, after you're done documenting and you want to find more places to explore, you can just head on over to our Explorer tab. And you can check out different things about all the U.S. national parks. One of the favorites of the group has been a bald eagle cam, where you can see this cool guy right here representing freedom and all that is America, chilling in his nest. You can also go check out any kind of tours at a park, and if they are available, it'll load up for you. You can even click on it and go check it out and see what it's about. And then you can also try to find some campsites if you're into camping. And if you're able to, it'll take you to the place where you can make your reservations. And then you can also go see what activities are available at the park. And museum exhibits here. And it'll give you just the information that you need. Also, you can check out informational videos. If they're available, they'll load. And we can click on it and watch informational videos about this. Also, one thing to point out, as a user, you can also use this on mobile. We have made it to where it is very accessible or we made it in the mobile first design or approach. And then last but not least, you can check out different experiences at each park. And then you can either sign out, go back home, or create another post. That's the end of our demo. And I appreciate you watching this, and I hope that you use our app on your next adventure. Thank you.
All right, and that was Christopher, the Gandalf of Git, and his presentation, his demo of our app. And that app is live. I hope you guys go check it out. And moving on, I'm gonna pass it on over to Tim. Tim did our front end, so he's gonna give a front end overview for you guys, and we're gonna. Oh, excuse me. Let me take a back step there. And now we're gonna move on a little bit deeper into a deep dive into our application. And Tim is going to talk a little bit more about the front end of our Journey app, and how he was able to work some serious magic, as you can see from the objectively gorgeous graphics that Tim provided and crafted. So go on, Tim, and take it away.
Thanks, Jed. So designing this app, the whole group really had an important emphasis on not only being mobile first, but also the user having fun, the user being able to, you have to be creative, you have to be in the moment. And so keeping the immersion, whether you are on the trail or at home, was important when designing everything. The app should be the one that kind of takes the back seat and it serves as a tool so that you can log your art and remember, all the great memories that you've made along your time traveling. So a lot of it had to do with trying to create a almost soft focus feel so it's immersed, but it also keeps the boundary with the user. The colors are we had to keep them very neutral so that there was no distortion as far as how colors would be perceived, so that any kind of nature or photography enthusiast could keep it pure as far as what they wanted to see on the site. And so being able to have the user commemorate their travels and as keeping it as simple as possible while allowing them to explore new things and new adventures, whether on the trail or at home, was the main focus as far as the front end. But the front end can only be as good as the back end. Celine really did a great job as far as making everything smooth and incorporating all of our crazy wishes on the back end side. And I'll let, or I guess I'm going to pass off to Chad first so that he can talk about the Explore page before we get to Celine. But yeah, back to you.
And Tim, just real quick, all the images that we see, I believe all those are your images, correct? All from your camera, from your creative eye. This is all your work, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we could show something off that there was no risk of copyright infringement at all.
Excellent. And I love the logo that Tim created for us. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you, Tim, for providing that front end overview. And now, folks, we're going to move on to the Explore section of the Journey application. And that would be my meat and potatoes section, so to speak. This is the area that my team really allowed me a lot of leeway on, and I was able to build out some neat little components using the National Parks API. The idea here was to craft a suite of various components based solely on the National Parks API. So kind of providing the user a one-stop shopping when it comes to tackling the outdoors, and a way to avoid the numerous and sometimes overwhelming amount of options that exist when people are trying to just plan activities. This is just focused solely on just getting out into nature, not all the other distractions. So some of the fun features that I was able to add to many of these sections was an infinite scrolling feature. As many of the national park responses, the video section, for example, has about 10,000 videos for users to browse. So I was able to use this feature to control the amount of response elements that were rendered to the screen and to better help load times and reduce resource usages. And especially when we move to mobile. That's the key here, is on mobile, we didn't want to bog down the phone as you load a bunch of videos. One thing that I really thought was kind of neat that I did with this is I was having some issues, and I created a lookup table for the park code. So now when you go to that drop down, you'll be able to search by park name, and that's taking that park name, converting it to a park code, and sending it onto the back end where things get processed via the API. Now, speaking of the back end, I'm going to pitch it on over to Celine. The Explore section was great, but it doesn't exist without the backbone of our application, and that's the Django app side, the Django backend. Celine, our officially voted MVP, is here to explain how she made all this possible for us. And Celine's also going to review our build and deployment process as well. So I'm going to pitch it on over to Celine to talk about the backend. Thank you, Celine.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. Hi, I am Celine, and from the intro video, I was described as the guardian angel, just because, like an angel, I work mostly in the behind the scene components and made sure that we reach our destination, which is for our online journey hiking to be accessible for the people to use and enjoy. I mostly help in the development of the infrastructure that handles the authentication when the user logs in, and mostly focus in development of the backbone that facilitate the saving and retrieving of data when a user posts like a new hiking adventure or just browsing the site. And for our Django, and for our backend, we use the Django REST framework and using Python. Chad, can you go to the next slide?
Here we go, build its deployment. All right.
Yeah. I am very excited to talk about this section, build and deployment, which for me is the most rewarding part. Rewarding to see that the code that we made on our local machine can be accessed by other people, not just us and not just lying in our computer. And also rewarding to see that the different components we work independently are coming together and fully integrated. Each one of us developed a feature of journey, then we pulled and push our code to our repository using Git. Then we package our front end and back end using Docker. Then we deployed it in Amazon Web Service, and that's how you can see our beautiful journey app in the web. And that wraps up this section. And Chad, switching it back to you.
Thank you, Celine. Excellent job. So now we're going to talk briefly about our tools and our dev stack. We use the React and Django frameworks for our dev stack. Our APIs that were used, we'll talk a little bit about this in a second, was Cloudinary and how Celine was able to save us with Cloudinary API, but I'll talk about that in a minute, or let Celine talk about it. We use the Leaflets API for rendering the maps that you saw Christopher render. And obviously I've talked about the National Parks API several times. You can see our collaborative tools, Trilio and Zoom. We use those a lot in the early on. Actually, Celine was our DevOps manager. She created a Kanban board for us early on, and that was very, very helpful. We got started off on the right foot. We did all the pre-work so that when we actually implemented our real work, it was cohesive. There wasn't all these bumps in the road. And then, the general collaborative tools for version control with, our Gandalf of Git, running our GitHub, and then Celine was running our Docker and web services for the DevOps side of things. All right, so that's our tools, and now we're going to talk a little bit about our challenges, and I'm going to start this off real quick here. Really the big challenge that I had was trying to handle geolocation data and how you handle images. Well, I was able to figure out the geolocation stuff. I started off with something very complex and whittled it down to something simple because that's what we needed for this application. But then with the images, well, I'm the one that created how we store the images. I made a little mistake. It worked great in dev, but it didn't work so great in prod. And so I'm going to pitch it on over to Celine, and I'm going to let her tell you about how she saved the day, literally the very last week of our challenge or our group work. So go ahead and Celine and tell us about Cloudinary.
Actually, the Cloudinary issue, the photo issue was very, very team effort. So one thing that also made us almost feel crazy is because when we were developing and testing it in our dev environment, all the photos were displaying perfectly. But once we deployed to production, all the photos displayed as a broken image. And so what we did is we use the Cloudinary API, and that's the one we use as a file server.
And it really saved the day. I mean, Celine's being very humble. Thank you, Celine, for saying the whole team did that. But Celine she really saved us. We woke up in the morning and our app was fixed again. So it was very, very great working with Celine. All right, Tim, can you tell us briefly about some of the challenges you had working on the front end?
Yeah, most of the challenges really came from, as far as front end, we had so many things that we wanted to implement and utilize for the app, and we just, with time constraints, we couldn't do it. So it was all about, how do we streamline it? How do we keep it effective and simple and pure to what the original vision was for the app? And I think that's really where the main challenge was for the front end. Chris did a great job. Chad, you also helped out a ton with the front end, and it was really just, yeah, how do we manage our time and our resources to make sure that we have the most viable product that we could have within the time constraints.
Well said. I'll add on to that. I feel like our challenges were, other than our Cloudinary issue in the last week, we had a really smooth project going. We really supported each other, and we just kept doing work. And then the challenges we had were real life challenges. People had stuff that they had to do in real life. Their kids were sick, or their kid got hurt, or things like that. That was the challenges that we dealt with. And how did we deal with it? The rest of the team, they stepped up. And just like we're stepping up today, Chris is out doing something he needed to do for his life, which is go and support his best friend, be the best man. And so we're here supporting him. That's the kind of example. Our challenges were much more like, fun little missions that we tackled. Anyways, we're going to move on from our challenges, and we're going to talk about our roadmap. Tim, do you want to talk about the roadmap a little bit as far as moving it to mobile? I think you understand how that would work a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, our roadmap was now that we've created something that the user can use to remember and log everything. Our biggest next hurdle would be allowing them to share it and to be social, show your friends where you hiked. Hey, this was a good hike. This wasn't too hard. How do I share that with my friends? And so that was kind of the biggest next mission I think that we would have, as far as the app, but just streamlining it as far as, let's make it mobile. Let's make sure that you are immersed wherever you are, and it's not just on the computer.
Yes, Celine even did build out our comment section. We had other models. She actually built this out for social media, but we pulled that back and we made it into more of a personal journey app because of time constraints. So, but it's actually the skeleton is there, the framework is there to take this to mobile. We're halfway there already. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate that. And now we're just going to take it on to questions. See if you guys have any questions. Go ahead and shoot.
All right, great. Thank you very much. So one question is about prioritizing features. So did you guys, since it looks like you have a number of different features, did you ever go down any false paths? How did you handle that?
I'll take this one because I took us down a lot of false paths, Chad. Right off the bat, I started building out this very intricate Django extension, GIS. I'll let you guys look it up, but basically it allows you to store your geolocation tags. And it's really more for massive databases. And I was trying to create this really complex thing for something that we didn't need. I was able to just make it very simple to store it in our database as simple data. And so that was one false. I think I kind of pulled myself out of that. I noticed it was going to be a lot of work and it wasn't necessary. So it was kind of those things. That was definitely one big issue that I kind of went down the wrong way. Do you think of anything, Tim or Celine?
No, yeah, it was mainly trying to rein you in so you wouldn't
Yeah, no, I wanted
go
to make
overboard.
yeah, I wanted to make 16 of those national parks APIs. It was going to be broken down into 4 different sections, and each were going to have their own 4 components. I was going to do one for kids, one for teachers, one for hikers, and just general info. I had this big thing in my mind, and yeah, my team, they put the kibosh on that smartly because I would still be working on it for probably another few months. So yeah, that was what I mean. This was a great experience for me. Not a lot of challenges other than just keeping myself in check. How about you, Celine? Any challenges that you had?
Actually, regarding the so Chris was very good, like making sure that we're being very realistic, and then he was kind of like stopping us, like, oh, we should focus more on releasing the basic stuff than adding more feature. And Chris was a very good our team leader and our tech lead.
100%. He really was kind of like dad in a sense. He had to scold me a couple times, rightly so. And it was great. It just everything worked out perfect in our group. It was the best group. I could talk on all day about these guys. I love them very much. Good people. Any more questions?
No, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, great presentation.